Welcome to Beyond the Document, the podcast from Formpipe, where we discuss everything that is output, document and customer communication management. In this episode, we're focused on the need for e-invoicing and how this is developing into a statutory law, not just organisational choice, and how it's more than just sending an invoice electronically. So joining us to discuss the ramifications of this is Cédric Caussé, a French-based partner at Dictymatec. Good morning, Cédric.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining and giving up your time. And it's great to have Dictymatec on the podcast because you've been working in output and document management for, well, more than 20 years now. And that's from your base in France. But I know that you cover not only France, but the Iberian Peninsula, Italy, and parts of Francophone Africa as well. So can you give an introduction to what Dictymatec do and also what you do within the organisation?
Yeah, sure. So just to give you a quick sum up of, what we do here at Dictymatec. So Dictymatec was founded in 2003 and started to sell Lasernet in 2006. So that's already a long journey between us and Formpipe. So of course we have a huge experience and a huge level of consultancy on Lasernet, of course. And for my part, I'm the sales manager here at Dictymatec. I started my role here 6 years ago, a little bit more than 6 years ago. And as you said, we cover France. Main of our activity is here in France, but we still are looking to develop our activity in Spain and Portugal, but also in Italy and North Africa. So my role is also to help our sales team to develop our activity in those territories.
I wonder how many projects you've done over those 20 years. I wonder if anybody's got a tally of that within the company.
I think we have done maybe around 160, 170 projects, something like that. So yes, I think I'm not far from the reality, I think.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, with that kind of experience under the belt of the organisation, it means that you've seen so many different scenarios that come up with output or document management. It's great.
Yes, exactly. Not on my concern because, but if we talk especially about our owner, Laurent Valax, yes, I think he has seen any kind of situations, and that's the most amazing when we talk with the potential customers or customers when they have really specific needs. You always find a solution.
Yeah. It's that trust. We've been here before. We know what to do. Don't worry, Mr. Customer. We can help you out here.
Exactly.
And I think that leads directly into what we're going to talk about today with electronic invoicing, or e-invoicing, as I should call it, which this isn't a new process or a new idea, and it's probably the most common document type that we see distributed. But the adoption has really grown significantly in recent years. So maybe you can help the people listening in stripping that back and giving a real basic view of what the core benefits are to a company, and how those benefits have spurned the growth in adoption of e-invoicing.
Yes, exactly. So as you said, there are several, and there are even a lot of benefits to adopt the e-invoicing. But in my opinion, the most important is about everything is related to automation. Because as you know, every time you can automate some task, you will obviously reduce the delays, the risk to make mistakes on invoicing. And what we see also is invoicing is mandatory for all the companies who have installed and who have put in place the purchase to pay. So anything that can be automated is a good thing, because the users can stay focused on tasks with more added value. But at the beginning, yes, it was an important cost for the companies to have such an organization. So it was only the biggest companies, let's say at the beginning of those projects. But I also think that COVID had a real impact on all those topics, because I think it's the same situation all over the world, and it has accelerated the digital transformation for all companies. So.
And definitely when we see that automation, that's where it brings in the efficiencies for the companies. But now we're seeing a significant increase in e-invoicing because of the mandatory factor. And I know this is happening across Europe, but also in globally. You know, I've gone and looked at the list of countries that are enforcing this. So with more of a focus on France, can you tell us about what's happening in the French market, which is meaning that businesses will have to accept invoices electronically?
Yes and no. I'm going to explain myself. So yes, as you said, e-invoicing is about to become mandatory here in France for any companies. But if we go back a few years ago, the e-invoicing really started in France for B2G, and started in 2020. And now it's mandatory for any companies since 2023. So it has been a huge impact for a lot of companies, but not all. And next year, what will happen here in France? It's not just about receive invoices. Because this is already mandatory. You have to accept an invoice if you receive one. But what is going to start? Every company will have to send e-invoices, and this will start in July 2024 for the biggest one, and then you have a calendar on 2 or 3 years. But at the end, by 2026, when we will talk about B2B, only e-invoices will be allowed. So that's a huge impact and a huge change for a lot of companies, especially for the smallest one, as you can imagine.
Yes, yeah. And so if a company is sat there and they haven't considered this, let's say they pretended this isn't happening, and there is a clock ticking towards that date, what do they need to do? What do they need to consider? How do they start on this journey?
It's not that difficult for the company, I would say, because the system that has been chosen here in France, partner platforms. These companies are EDI specialists, and they will have to be certified for the new legislation. And only these platforms will be allowed to transport e-invoices from one to another. And the end user, the final customer, will have an access on his own platform to check and to check what has been sent, but also to receive their invoices. So for the customers, they will have to choose with whom partner they want to work. That's the first point. But on our position, because that's important to know what we are going to do and the position we have in front of this situation. Because yes, right now we have a lot of companies who trust us to manage their documents, including their invoices, of course. So tomorrow we want to be able to say them, okay, today we manage all your documents, we manage your invoices, but tomorrow we will remain your main contact or your only contact, even for the e-invoicing. So the first thing is that we will be able with Lasernet to send facturics invoices, because this is one of the main formats that will be allowed or mandatory with the new legislation. But we will not be allowed to send these facturics to the final customer. So we will have to go through a partner platform, as I said, and we are about to sign a partnership with one of these platforms in order to be able to catch all the needs and all the requirements from our customers.
So would it be fair to say if I had a business in France and I didn't know what to do, I should just pick up the phone and call you? Yeah, would that be fair?
Exactly, that would be a really good idea.
Fantastic. And then what else is happening in the markets that you cover, Cédric? You know, we mentioned at the top of the podcast that Dictymatec cover a number of different countries, but I'm also aware that you as an organization work on multiple different ERP systems. So, you know, what trends are you seeing from either a country point of view or ERP system point of view?
Oh, that's pretty simple. I think because yes, as you said, we have customers using really different ERPs. I think we have around 30 customers on in 4 ERPs. We have just signed with one of them last month, or 2 months ago. But we also try to extend our activity on the SAP environment. We are also a member of the French user, the SAP French users community. We go to exhibition every year for to let the customers be aware that we can work with them with no matter what system that they use. And obviously we also work on Dynamics because it's because of the integration with Lasernet, but I won't talk about that today. In my opinion, working with an ERP or another is not very different, because the most important is that the customers they have the same needs. Even if you talk about Dynamics, SAP, Rinse for what you want, they have exactly the same needs, and all these systems are not really efficient when we talk about documents designing and what Lasernet can do for them. So there are a lot of things to do.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, that regardless of that core technology, core platform that they're running, their communication and document requirements for their end client, whether that be a consumer or a business, they remain consistent across the piece. So I think that's a good thing to reference there. Okay, good. And just let's finish on how the economy is generally in France. I mean, given the fact that we came out of the pandemic and everybody was looking forward to an upturn, and then we had Ukraine unfortunately happen. How's continental Europe looking?
Oh, how could I say that? I think it could be better, because yes, it always could be better. But yes, regarding to everything that you said and everything that happens, honestly, it could be worse, because we still have projects, we still have things to do. So I guess even with the inflation we know today, there is still activity. So and especially I think around IT, because there are so many needs, so many things to achieve. So yes, we will have a lot of news to this year, and especially with this new legislation about around E-Invoicing. Yes, this year will be. We have a lot to do this year, and that's pretty exciting to see where we will be in 1 year.
Well, we're looking forward to watching it as well, a little bit from afar, but watching to see what Dictymatec are going to do with the E-Invoicing, let's call it revolution, especially in France. So, Cédric, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm going to say goodbye in French as well. So, au revoir, merci.
Oh, very nice.
Thanks, Cédric.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Document, and thank you again to Cédric for joining me today. You can find out more about Cédric and Dictymatec by searching on LinkedIn. Dictymatec is Dictymatec, or search for Cédric himself, which is Cédric and his surname Causse. I've been Ben Saxton. See you next time on Beyond the Document.